This morning, you woke up inside a story. You were somewhere strange. Something was happening. The feeling was vivid and real and completely yours. Then your eyes opened. And within 60 seconds, it was gone. Not faded. Not blurry. Gone. Like it never existed. You reached for it and got nothing. Just the ceiling. Just the ordinary light of an ordinary morning. And somewhere behind your eyes, an entire world had been erased. Here is a number that should disturb you. Within 5 minutes of waking, you have forgotten roughly 50% of your dream. Within 10 minutes, 90% is gone. Not some of it. 90%. An entire night of vivid experience reduced to almost nothing before you have finished your first cup of coffee. This happens to you almost every single night of your life. And almost nobody ever asks why. Because the real answer is not what you think. Your brain did not accidentally lose your dream. It deleted it. On purpose. And the reason it does that reveals something strange and deeply important about the way your memory actually works. To understand this, you need to understand something most people get completely wrong about memory itself. Memory is not a recording. It is not a hard drive storing footage of your life. Memory is a construction. Every time you remember something, your brain is actively rebuilding it from fragments, filling in gaps, layering emotion on top of fact. It is less like playing back a video and more like reconstructing a sculpture from a handful of broken pieces. And that process of construction requires very specific conditions. Conditions that, during sleep, your brain deliberately shuts off. Here is what actually happens while you dream. Every night, your sleep cycles through different stages. The deepest and most vivid dreaming happens during a phase called REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and during this phase your brain is extraordinarily active. Your visual cortex lights up. Your emotional centers fire. Your body is temporarily paralyzed, so you do not act out what you are experiencing. But here is the part that changes everything. During REM sleep, two key chemicals in your brain are almost completely switched off: norepinephrine and serotonin. These are the neurotransmitters your hippocampus, your brain's memory center, depends on to lock experiences into long-term storage. Without them, the hippocampus is still running. It just cannot save anything. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to photograph something in complete darkness. Your camera is on. The shutter opens. But without light, nothing gets captured. That is your brain during a dream. The experience is real. The recording mechanism is not working. Researcher Robert Stickgold at Harvard Medical School has spent decades studying this. His work helps show that the brain uses REM sleep to process and integrate emotional memories, finding unexpected connections across everything you already know. But the system is not designed to save what it generates during that process. The chemical silence is intentional. It is what lets your brain work freely without creating a backlog of false memories. Scientists are still mapping exactly how this works. But the broad outline, the neurotransmitter withdrawal, the disabled memory gate, the dissolving window after waking, that part is not in dispute. When you wake up, those chemicals flood back in. Your memory system switches back on. But the dream is already dissolving. You have a window of roughly 2 to 3 minutes to catch it before it is gone completely. That is why you can remember a dream vividly the moment you wake up, and then lose it entirely by the time you have walked to the bathroom. The act of waking, moving, checking your phone is enough to erase it. Now think about what you actually lose in those 2 minutes. You wake up from a dream where you just met someone you have never seen before. Their face was completely specific. Their voice. The way they looked at you. And by the time you have splashed water on your face, you cannot remember a single feature. Not their eyes. Not their name. Nothing. Just the feeling that something happened. And then even that fades. That is not a small thing. That is your brain erasing a person that felt completely real. But why? Why evolve a system that generates hours of rich, complex experience every single night, and then systematically destroys the record of it? The answer starts with what dreams actually are. Dreams are not memories. They are simulations. Your brain runs scenarios, combines old experiences in ways that defy logic, creates emotional rehearsals for things that have never happened. A study by Aaron Walmsley at Furman University found that dream content is frequently built from recent experiences layered on top of older emotional memories, as if the sleeping brain is doing something like creative problem-solving in the dark. If all of that were saved with the same weight as real experiences, your memory system would collapse. Imagine waking up every morning with 100 new ultra-vivid memories of things that never happened. Memories of flying, of conversations with people who said things they never said, of events that felt completely real but never occurred. Your ability to tell past from imagined would erode. The more you remembered your dreams, the less you could trust your own history. So the brain solves this problem the only way it can. It does not save the content at all. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker, author of Why We Sleep, has described this chemical architecture as one of the most elegant designs in the human brain. The very state that enables vivid, emotional, hallucinatory experience is also the state that prevents it from being mistaken for reality later. The forgetting is the feature, not the bug. Here is something else that reveals how ancient this system is. Every mammal we know of shows REM sleep. Dolphins, elephants, rats running mazes in labs have been observed replaying those mazes during sleep, their brain cells firing in the exact same sequence as when they were awake and running. Sleep-based memory processing predates humans by tens of millions of years. But those animals were waking up in environments where the wrong memory could kill them. A deer that woke from a dream of being chased and responded as if the chase were real would exhaust itself fleeing a threat that was not there. A primate that spent the morning searching for food it only dreamed about would waste energy it could not afford to lose. The leading explanation is that forgetting dreams evolved as a survival filter, a way of keeping the fiction of sleep from contaminating the facts of waking life. No one has proven this with absolute certainty, but the logic is hard to argue with, and the neurochemistry lines up almost perfectly with what that filter would need to look like. There is one more layer to this that most people never consider. And here is something almost nobody knows. People who were born blind never have visual dreams. But people who lost their sight after the age of 7 often do. They continue to see in their dreams for decades after going blind. The visual content is not coming from the eyes. It is being reconstructed entirely from memory, which tells you something remarkable about what a dream actually is. It is your brain generating experience from the inside, using nothing but what it already contains. Psychologist Deirdre Barrett at Harvard has studied dream content for decades and found that dreaming functions like a kind of private theater. Fears get rehearsed in safe conditions. Emotional conflicts play out without real-world stakes. Grief gets processed. Trauma gets replayed in altered forms, sometimes helpfully, sometimes not. The dream provides the experience. The forgetting provides the distance. You do not need to remember every emotional rehearsal you have ever run. You just need the processing to happen. The benefit arrives underneath conscious memory, in the form of slightly better emotional regulation, a slightly different perspective, slightly reduced charge around something that was wearing you down. The dream changes you. Then it disappears. And you wake up different without knowing why. There are things that improve recall. Waking during or immediately after a REM cycle helps dramatically. Lying still with your eyes closed for the first minute after waking, before your brain shifts into daily mode, can extend the window. Writing immediately in a journal beside your bed creates a physical anchor before the memory dissolves. Some people get good at this with practice. But even committed dream journalers report that the vast majority of their nightly experience is gone before morning. The machinery of forgetting is simply too efficient. There is still genuine scientific debate about exactly why we dream at all. The function of dreaming is one of the most contested questions in neuroscience. But there is far less debate about the forgetting. That mechanism is real, measurable, and consistent. Whatever dreams are for, the system that erases them is not an accident. Your mind is not a passive recorder. It is an active curator. Every night, it generates hours of experience it considers not worth keeping. It processes, integrates, rehearses, and discards. It runs scenarios you will never consciously access. It does work you will never know about, and then erases all evidence that it happened. You are, in a very real sense, a different person every morning than you were the night before. And you have no memory of the process that changed you. Most people never think about this. They assume their brain is simply unreliable at night. But that assumption gets it exactly backwards. Your brain is not failing to remember your dreams. It is succeeding at forgetting them. There is a difference between a system that breaks down and a system that executes. The architecture of dream forgetting, the chemical withdrawal, the memory center silenced, the narrow waking window, that is not breakdown. That is precision. So ask yourself a different question. Not why can you not remember your dreams? Ask why your brain goes to such extraordinary lengths to make sure you forget. Because the answer opens up something much larger. What memory is actually for. Not what it saves, but what it deliberately chooses not to. And why? The brain that saves everything is not a better brain. It is an overwhelmed one. Selectivity is the point. The ability to let go is not a weakness of memory. It is one of its most powerful features. The next time you wake up and feel a dream slipping away, the image dissolving, the emotion fading, the story collapsing into nothing before you can catch it, you are not experiencing a failure. You are watching one of the most sophisticated and ancient systems in biology doing exactly what it was built to do. Your brain deleted the dream. On purpose. Because it was finished with it. And that means it is finished with you too. In the best possible way. Slightly changed. Ready for a new day? with no record of how. This morning, you woke up inside a story, and your brain, as it always does, decided you did not need to remember it. It only needed to be real while it was happening. That is not forgetting. That is judgment. And your brain has been making that judgment on your behalf every night of your entire life.